Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and a very special welcome to my first ever reading vlog. I admit I'm kind of obsessed with booktube right now, despite being tardy to the party. And since this year I have miraculously rediscovered my love of reading since college and career nearly snuffed it out of me, I'm enjoying adding bookish content to my ever-evolving, ever-diversifying YouTube channel. So I hope this video reaches its intended audience. Let me know by hitting the like button, as well as leaving me a comment while you share and subscribe. I have a wonderful summer TBR list. It's actually insane how many anticipated books I blindly selected earlier this month. And if you missed that video, I'll go ahead and leave the link in the description. And so I didn't want to wait until my summer wrap-up video to talk about these books. I'm really enjoying them so far. And I wanted a way to give an update on the books I started, as well as my first impressions, kind of like a first quarter review. And so I thought my version of a reading vlog would be perfect. In this video, I'm going to talk about my reads and a little bit about the story and characters. So if I'm discussing a book that you want to go in blind to without even a fraction of a spoiler, heads up, you've been warned. The first book I want to talk about is Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury, because the 180 I did with this book is astounding. This book has been sitting on my shelf for months, and when I pulled it during my tbrjar video, I was low-key annoyed. But something drew me to this book after stating over and over in that video that I was not going to read it. Well, I'm reading it. And at the time of the recording of this video, I'm 10 chapters in and so absorbed. I really like the way this author writes. The internal monologue, rich descriptions, and steady pace make it easy to connect with the world and the emotions of our two main protagonists, as well as the supporting cast. The story unfolds across two timelines set 10 years apart and follow two protagonists, Daisy and Brittany. So we're reading from the perspective of two narrators, and it just kind of switches back and forth. Daisy's story takes place in the past and Brittany is in the present. Daisy is around 16 or 17 years old and she can see dead people. She's constantly tormented by their presence. And the way she describes them is absolutely terrifying. From her point of view, some ghosts look just like regular people. So much so that sometimes she can't even tell them apart from the living. There are those. And then there are others who are barely translucent. The way she describes their behavior is so creepy. They are very active, they're not passive ghosts. They're often either reenacting their own death or stalking the living. They'll stand directly in windows or get up right in Daisy's face, and then they scoff at people who they see living happily. These ghosts aren't spooky chill, they're like aggressive and desperate to be noticed. One time, Daisy even woke up finding one lying on top of her. That freaked both her and me out. She thought she was gonna die. There's a particularly disturbing moment when she's crying over her predatory ex-boyfriend Noah, and a ghost starts licking her tears off her face. It's so creepy. But what's even more haunting is that Daisy goes on living her life with all this going on in the background. And she doesn't share this with anyone, not even her mom knows. She's dealing with it all on her own, which makes me very concerned for her mental health. And I'm starting to pick up that I'm not the only one. Daisy seems to have accepted these ghosts, for the most part, but she still struggles often with their presence. Nighttime is the most difficult, as you can imagine. She's developed some coping mechanisms like listening to Kids Bop to trick her mind into not being terrified, but it only goes so far. I feel for this girl so much. It didn't take long to get attached to this character, which is tragic because the blurb already hinted that something bad is going to happen to her, and it will be Brittany who discovers the story. Unlike with Daisy, I didn't connect to Brittany right away. She comes off as tough, defensive, and a bit hostile, traits I honestly hate using to describe a black girl, but that's exactly the vibe her introduction gave me. She's working as an intern at a media company where she feels undermined and unjustly challenged. Her web series and the story she pitches to her boss, which focuses on the haunting tragedies of missing girls, isn't being taken seriously. No surprise there. And she knows the specific pushback whenever a story centers a black girl, which really bothers her, understandably. What's starting to soften me up towards Brittany is learning where that rough around the edges personality comes from. And it turns out she's also a product of neglect and, I'll say, manipulation. Since, you know, YouTube doesn't like certain words. Brittany's mom, to put it plainly, sucks. She verbally tears her down, constantly chipping away at any confidence Brittany manages to build. She allowed her revolving door boyfriends to mistreat Brittany too. On top of that, her mom would regularly abandon her to chase after men, leaving Brittany alone to fend for herself at such a young age. And now, despite everything, her mother has been claiming that her latest spiritual awakening has changed her, and that she's no longer that same person. But it's clear the damage runs deep. So in addition to her work challenges, Brittany is silently suffering from lifelong struggles caused by her mom, which obviously has a lasting effect on her. However, one thing I really like about Brittany is that she has excellent discernment. She can read people and read between the lines. She's no fool. So as I mentioned, I just got to chapter 10, and I'm starting to see how Daisy and Brittany's stories intertwine. Brittany is focusing her new web series on a house where several girls tragically lost their lives, including Daisy it seems. So unfortunately, like the blurb read, we know that something tragic happened to Daisy after she and her mother moved to a property they inherited from Daisy's aunt's late husband. This is Miracle Mansion, and the focus of Brittany's new series. While interviewing several people who knew or were acquainted with Daisy and her mother Grace, Brittany is becoming more suspicious and is starting to really zone in on everything surrounding Daisy. So I'm excited to see what becomes of all this and dive deeper into both protagonists. This book is off to a really great start, definitely exceeding my expectations. And what I've shared with you about this book barely scratches the surface. There's so much nuance in the characters and everything surrounding their dual storylines. And I'm only at the beginning. The book is over 500 pages long. It's wild to think I didn't even want to read it when I first unwrapped it, and now I'm low-key obsessed. I really think I'm gonna love it. It has that horror mystery style with a dash of psychological thriller. Basically all the genres I love. The second book I want to talk about is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I was so excited to add this book to my TBR list, and so far I'm loving the read. The author's writing style is so unique. It honestly feels like a cleanse for my brain. The way he writes pulls me into the protagonist's perspective, and since she's so observant, it makes me more analytical too. I find myself wondering what's going to happen next, what's motivating this character, what are the societal norms in this world, so many questions, and I love that. I really appreciate when an author doesn't spell everything out, like who the antagonists are, what are these characters' intentions, or how humans truly feel about the AF's artificial friends. Instead, we get subtle hints through characters' mannerisms and events, and that makes the experience so much more engaging. So our protagonist Clara is an AF, or artificial friend, basically an AI doll sold for children, seemingly so they can have companions. Immediately, this brought me back to those life-size dolls that people used to get back in the day that looked just like the owner of the doll. So freaky. And so that's how I picture Clara, one of those life-size dolls, but alive. What's interesting about the AF is that presumably with goals of being bought and paired with a child, but it's AI, so you know poo is gonna hit the fan. Each doll is unique, and through Clara's eyes we see in small interactions that some lack empathy, some are intentionally delusional and optimistic. I'm talking about Rosa, another AF and Clara's window display partner, who I have a very bad feeling about. And then there's Clara, who's just so curious. She loves to people watch and come up with her own theories about why humans behave the way they do. She also makes some good observations, like noticing that even though she knows AFs exist, she rarely sees them out in the world. And when she does, their behavior seems off. As of the editing of this video, I finished part 1 and I just started part 2. At this point, Clara has been bought by a little girl named Josie, who seems to be very sick and possibly has a disability. Clara is trying to adapt to her new role as Josie's companion. She's never been outside of the store before, so it's like she's discovering the world for the first time. And it doesn't really feel like the world has a place for her. Josie's pragmatic mom also comes off as suspicious of Clara. She doesn't seem happy about her at all. It makes me wonder if she's had a negative experience with an AF in the past. I'm also really curious about what happens to AFs when they're no longer needed, or even when they're paired with destructive or cruel children. It's interesting how humans treat them like toys, despite them being sentient beings, which in a way they are toys, but through Clara's perspective, we start to sympathize with her. She takes on such a human tone that I find myself genuinely concerned for her future. Concerned, but really fascinated. I am beyond captivated with Clara and the Sun so far. It keeps me up way past my bedtime reading every night. And that wraps up my first thoughts and reactions. I have so many good books to read this month. I definitely want to take my time and really enjoy the experience. So instead of my usual routine of reading multiple books at once, I'll probably just stick with this TBR list through July. Because honestly, all these books are just that good. After I finish Delicious Monsters and Clara and the Sun, I'll be starting The Blue Castle and Parable of the Sower. Those two have been high on my list for a while, and once I start them, I'll be sure to share an update in another reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out my bookish playlist and explore some of my other content. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye!